Well, hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome to the beginning of a new one here in the Midwest F1 League, Season 14. God, I can't believe we've gone to 14 of these damn things, but here we are under the night sky at the Bahrain circuit, which should be a fantastic race this and a fantastic season on the way. We will get to the full schedule in just a little bit. Right now, let's go over our starting grid for the first round of the season. It will be Got Palmer on pole, about 3/10 of a second clear of Race Day in second, last season's champion. It'll be Reimer in third, Race Day's teammate last season, behind by about 4/10 of a second. He's 9 thou clear of Lancey in fourth in the V-Carb. Fifth is Edwin. Sixth, Race Chase. Seventh is Sui. Actually, it's a row 4 lockout for the Ferrari. Sui in seventh, Cali Rob eighth. It'll be Fire Up Flow ninth. A-Dub 10th. 11th will be Gottney Weeb. 12th is Nikki 64. 13th, Shariah. 14th, Travis Scott. 15th, Gab. The Alpines 14th and 15th there. 16th for Cake Thomas. 17th for Noganator. 18th for Gunner. Rounding out the grid, 19th is that of Houdini. And let's take you through now this season's complete schedule. Starting off this week, obviously, in Bahrain as we are. Great Britain, Silverstone. Next time out will be a no-line Grand Prix. That should be an interesting one there. We've got about, how many? We have 6 races this season here in Division 1 where line will be turned off. So that will be the British Grand Prix next time out. It will be then, after that, Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Round 3, round 4 will be Spain. That will be no line as well. Vegas, round 5. That is round 5. Round 5 for Las Vegas. Round 6 will be Imola. Round 7 over to Hungary. Round 8 will be Singapore. No line for that one either. Round 9 will go to Abu Dhabi. Round 10, another race with no line, will be Zandvoort. 11 will be Japan Suzuka. Round 12 will be that of Austria. No line for that one as well. Round 13 will go to Qatar. Round 14 will go to Spa. No line for that one. And round 15, the final, will go to Brazil. Should be a fantastic season this. And, well, you have to think that the favorite going into the season to win the title should be that of Race Day. There's no way that you come off of that good of a season, that, historic season when you really think about it, just to go and not win it next time out. I think Palmer will be the one this time round as well. I think he's going to keep him honest. But we look at the tracks where Race Day won last season. He won at Spa. He won Australia. He won Netherlands. He won Monza. He won Brazil, Canada, and Japan. You look at the tracks like that, there's one thing in common. A lot of them are very technical, very... they're not the most technical. Some of them not the most overtake heavy. Of course, Spa is really a free-for-all when you think about it. Australia, very technical in its own right. Netherlands as well. Monza is very quick, but there is some tricky points in there. Got to stay out of trouble. Brazil, Canada, and Japan. 3 very different tracks from each other there, I would say. And he's won them all. So up and down the board, I would say, Race Day is probably the most complete, well-rounded driver on the grid. And that kind of has to have me believe that he's going to be the favorite here tonight. Whether that holds out to be true or not is a question of its own. The thing here in Division 1 this season, we do have a lot of talented drivers on this grid. I do think it's going to get interesting when we get to those races where line is turned off. Of course, formation lap on the way now. We'll have a look at the tire strategy, and wow, all 3 compounds of tire will be used off the start here. Palmer has started on the mediums. The next 3 will go hard. The next 3 after that will stay medium. Edwin, Race Chase, and Sweet. Cali Rob has gone hard as well. As far as those on the softs, A-Dub, Gottney Weeb, Gunner, and Houdini, the only 4 on the grid who have chosen to go soft for this occasion. Nikki, Shariah, Coleslaw, Travis Scott, Cake Thomas have all gone hard as well. That, has to be said, is one of the most welcomed sights I think I'll ever see here in Division 1, where you just have that much, not necessarily confusion, that's not the right word, but that much diversity on strategy. 2-stop strategy, lap 9 to, that 9th lap, and then the 17th lap after that. I think the 1-stop... I don't know, is there enough degradation to throw the 1-stop out of the window? I mean, it's a tough call, because we're going to have a lot of these guys try 1-stop. I think if you're on the mediums right now, you have to look initially for that just medium to hard transition. I think hard tires, if you can get away with it and have them last long enough, you could go maybe hard softs. I think if you do start on the softs, though, the 2-stop is probably going to be most realistic here. But Palmer will lead them off the grid. Race Day will be second. Reimer will be third. Now, this first corner, very tight and tricky in its own right. I have a feeling we are going to see some carnage in through there. Only 2 divisions left here in Midwest F1. Division 1, no assists. Division 2, all assists. So what that means is this: the drivers who belong here will stay here. That is absolutely sure. And the drivers that are, could potentially be kicking tail down in Division 2, they could come up and hope to fight amongst the big dogs here. So good to see this many different tire strategies be used. Let me tell you this, once again, as of tonight, will be the 134th Midwest F1 Grand Prix I've cast. You have to think that Race Day could be the favorite going into this season. It just seems, again, one of the only multi-time champions in Division 1 history. One of only 3, I believe, is the statistic on that. We can get to that in just a little bit. We've got that of Kate Thomas making his way back to the grid here. We'll have to find his grid box, and he's done just that. Palmer. He's going to have to send it on the outside here. He's angled in towards the inside. Race Day could be better off getting off the start here. 4 lights, 5 lights, and the new season of Midwest F1 is underway. And I want to say Palmer has gotten a better start there. Yes, he has. He's cleared Race Day there off the line. The Aston Martin of Edwin's going to try to send it potentially around the outside of Reimer as well. Into the first corner they go. They fan out and stack up behind them. Palmer has gotten the best start here. Reimer has dropped the spot back to Edwin as well. And it looks as if as they make their way back through the Grosjean corner, round the outside, fire up flow potentially as they head into turn 4. Oh, it's going to be very difficult. They're staying on the outside. Wheel to wheel they go. And then in through Sector 2 here. This first opening spot is not very much a place you want to be going side by side through. And it looks as if Race Chase has sorted this one out for now. A-Dub and Fire Flow side by side behind. Potentially someone going to be late on the brakes into the corner. No, Fire Flow's actually going to lose position there. A-Dub now trying the outside of Race Chase here going into turns 9 and 10. Very difficult corner this, and he's done it round the outside. Good move from A-Dub, and as we make our way up the grid, Edwin is pressuring Race Day here. Race Day has not gotten a good start on those hard tires. We kind of figured that could be the case, but now as they go through turn 11 up through 12 now, still wheel to wheel. Race Day, he's held it well there on the inside. That is not a corner you want to go side by side through either. Those cars naturally want to push up the side of the track, and there it is, stops again. Not one thing on the grid is saying the one stop is in play. That is very interesting to say the least. As they exit the final corner and make their way down the pit straight for the first time, Palmer has a 2-second advantage. As Race Day follows in behind, DRS will be activated this time by. They'll have that going up in towards turn 4. Let's see if anything happens here. Lancey has a look to the inside of Reimer. He will get that 4th spot. Edwin now. Oh, someone's taking the bollard. Oh, and goodness me, that car has nearly gone round as well. I think, was it Race Day that hit it in front of him or something? But either way, that Aston Martin had a bit of a slide there. He's caught it. As they make their way down the straight here with DRS, no real threats of overtakes from anybody. It's a slightly tame start, this. But as we look at those who have gained and lost here in the opening, Edwin's up 2 spots. Gunner's up 5, as we have Noganator, who's gone round at the back. Noganator, I think, yes, making the jump from Division 2 to Division 1 this season, and he's made his way, unfortunately falling backwards to 19th. Down 4 positions, Soraya Coleslaw off the start. Race Chase down 3 as well. A-Dub once again making a move in towards turn 9 and 10. He'll make it to the inside of Swede this time, and as DRS is activated, they're going to be wheel-to-wheel again, going in towards turn 11. And this time A-Dub is going to get the better of the Ferrari for the time being. Swee's still there, but not quite close enough. Up the hill they go. And once again, it's a slightly tame beginning to this Grand Prix here, which I suppose is a good thing, as Edwin has left the session. That's not good. Am I being kicked, or is that... No, I don't believe I am. Sometimes you just have to hold your breath there. When you see that message come across your screen, you really do. Palmer has the fastest lap of the session so far, 132, as we have a yellow flag at the back. And I believe, it's the Williams of Fire Up Flow has gone round into the barrier on the inside, coming off the final corner. Virtual safety car out on track. I will say for Fire Up Flow, it's helped him significantly. He's done it out of the final corner and has still been able to make the pit lane entry, so that's helped him very well there. Just begin the third lap of the Grand Prix, and we've got ourselves our first, I say, true incident of the race. But Palmer still leads by quite some margin now, and I'm a little surprised that he's been unchallenged throughout the opening of the race here so far. kind of thinking that race day was going to keep him a little bit more honest off the start, but Palmer got away so much better, and you have to say it's probably because of the medium tires he sits on it for the time being. As Edwin, having disconnected from the session, may continue to drop back here. We do have as well going through turn 10, a good little stack up here going through the midfield, as it seems for now. Don't usually often see moves be made into that braking zone at turn 11. We've seen a couple of them so far already, so I think we're going to see that Alpine of Gab make a move on Noganator here down to the inside. Oh, very close then. And they still haven't sorted it out. Now going up the hill through turns 11 and now 12. That Haas is going to want to push to the inside here. That's how that car moves through this corner. And, well, as they're still side by side now, exiting turn 13, a little bit of contact there, but a good fight between these two at the tail end, and it looks as if Gab may have him here. Lancey will get round to Edwin as, well, that car, unfortunately, that Aston Martin is dropping positions left and right and center. DRS activated for all those involved here, but I'm afraid that it's going to be no real moves be made into this corner. Palmer still leads now by 2 seconds. They're making their way in towards turn 4. Again, no real sights of overtakes here legitimately. I think if we see a bit of a dive, I'd be slightly surprised, but down through sector 2 they go, as Sui is going to get around Edwin as well. I don't think I have... I'm going to check just a minute here, see if I have him friended. Unfortunately, I don't... Shrike has invited you to play. Thank you very much. I'm already in. I'm afraid I don't have him invited. Oh, that sucks. That really does suck. It has to be said. Hope someone can find him an invite here shortly. 0.2 of a second between A-Dub and Reimer now for that 4th spot. And I tell you what, Reimer finished 5th in the championship last season. I would expect him to make a run for the top 3 here. I'm not sure that he... Not really sure that he'll be necessarily in the hunt to win the title. He's a very talented driver in his own right. This is only one of his first few seasons here in Midwest and in Division 1 for that matter as well, as Lancey's going to try to cover the inside. A-Dub's going to follow in behind the V-Carb, and, well, for the time being, Reimer has actually still been able to hold on to that position. I think A-Dub's softs might be wearing out here. I kind of got that feeling that that was going to be the case when we saw drivers in the qualifying sessions only run 1 or 2 laps competitively on the softs, as Reimer nearly went to the back end of the V-Carb there. Thankfully, Edwin has rejoined the session. A-Dub's still closing in behind Sui in this as well. Let's not count out Sui. I think probably one of the most veteran drivers on this grid. A-Dub has taken a lot of the curb there, exiting turn 7. That has hurt him, and he surely picked up a track limits warning for that as well. Somewhere along the line as well, Race Day has lost another second back to Gott Palmer. That, I think, last time by, we started about 1.8. We're now at 2.7. So, Palmer really pulling away with this one for the time being, as down the straight they go. Maybe trying to have a look here at Lancey as Reimer, not quite as we have a yellow flag at the back, and Fire Up Flow's gone round, and he has lost a bit of the front wing there on the barrier. This was not going to be a virtual safety car or safety car, but very unfortunate for him again, and that is going to be his second front wing change of the event. Heading into the final couple of corners now, 14 and 15, it appears still. Callie Robb is going to have a fair look at Race Chase here. Chase will not have DRS to the cars ahead of him on the way into turn 1. Callie Robb is going to be pressured by Gottney Weeb here as well. Let's see, a move be made in the corner. Reimer's going to get around Lancey ahead, and Gottney Weeb is going to lose, Race Chase is going to lose at least 2 positions there to both Callie Robb and Gottney Weeb. Reimer has gotten around Lancey to go into the inside of the first corner. No DRS being used for that of Lancey, and what I've learned is this, is that sometimes we'll see drivers, as Nicky64 is going to get to the inside of Race Chase here, as Edwin has unfortunately disconnected again. What we do see is sometimes, and I've learned this, is that actually drivers closing DRS is a fuel-saving technique. I didn't really know that that was the case, but yeah, as it turns out, that was something I learned last season CCRL. We were at Austria, and we saw people closing about DRS, and yeah, as it turns out, I think it's to save fuel. Down the back straight they go. Yeah, still another bit of a procession here. Nobody's going to have a look into 11. You'd have to... Unless you're kind of desperate, that's not the corner you want to make it in. It really isn't. Heading down now towards turn 14. It appears Race Day has shaved off about 0.6 of a second from that deficit back to Palmer. I don't know why or where Race Day's clawed that back. I'm going to open the telemetry here. I'm just curious about top speeds. 298 for Got Palmer. Race Day's approximately 6 to 8 km/h slower than Palmer in the straight, and I'm just curious, is that a lot of the reason why? I mean, neither of those cars had DRS. That's a fair out-and-out battle for pace, that is. Nicky 64 and Gottney Weaver are going to make some contact there going through turn 3. Wheel-to-wheel they go, heading for turn 4 now. The Williams is going to have the outside. Nicky's going to have to not necessarily park it on the apex, but he's gotten really good acceleration there off the corner, and the Aston Martin's going to keep that for the time being. And as they make their way through Sector 2, Palmer still leads Race Day by 2.5 seconds, who leads Reimer by about 1.7, who leads Lancey 0.6 of a second, A-Dub 0.5, Swee 0.3, Cali Rob a second, Nicky 64 nearly 2 seconds now, Gottney Weeb 0.6, and Race Chase 0.7. That is your top 10 for the time being. Once again, though, we're still looking at potentially, now this is what the game has told me, is that we are looking for an out-and-out two-stop strategy here. You know how in the beginning of the race they'll give us the predicted strategy windows? Not one of them said that a one-stop strategy was on the cards. Every single one of them, no matter what compound of tire they were on, said they were going to go with two-stoppers. Fire Up Flo will be the first retiree of the Division 1 season. Unfortunately, he's done that in the pit lane. It's been a very difficult day for him here only in the first quarter of the race, and he's called it quits. Down the pit straight they go. Swee may have a look at A-Dub here if he gets a good run. He's being very careful with his energy store for the time being, and he's not going to use it into the corner, but we do have now. That is Houdini into the pit lane. This is our first strategical stop of the day. It does appear slightly unplanned. No front wing being changed as well. Nope, this is a full-on tactical stop here. Softs to mediums it is. There was a time where I would go in before the sessions and really take accurate notes on the tires, and well, I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of like the feeling of not knowing a little bit better. I used to have a literal sheet of notes with me on when the tire was going to go where, and you know what times they would pull. I think I like it better this way. I'm not going to lie. I like the confusion and the not knowing of actually having to guess what the strategies are going to be. Well, down the back straight they go, and for the time being, Lancey within 0.3 of Reimer here. Well, that's a bit of a slide on the back end there. That turn 11 is getting on the throttle is a little bit difficult, especially in that transition from 11 to 12. Through 13 now they go. And down the straight, and it doesn't appear that Lancey is closing in enough to really threaten Reimer for the time being. Grid's starting to get a little bit spread out here, as we're starting to sort the faster cars from those not so fast. I will say this, Race Day has erased, once again, about another 0.2 off of that time which Palmer had not too long ago. Remember, Palmer did start this race on the medium tires. Race Day, Reimer, and Lancey on the hards. The other two in the top 5 on the mediums. A-Dub, the current highest driver on track with the softs. For the time being, looks as if he's holding them quite well. We do have Gottney Weave and Noganator into the pit lane. A-Dub within 0.2 of Swee here as they make their way now through Sector 2. And it has to be said, this is a good position here for A-Dub to make up some good spots, because Swee's not going to have DRS to either of the two cars ahead. The only thing I'm guessing is that Cali Rob is going to play a big hand in this, considering A-Dub's on those soft tires. Cali Rob's teammate is Swee is up the road and under pressure. I think Cali Rob is really going to have to send it at A-Dub here, and that will prevent the Haas from making some significant gains. Although I will say, again, that car's going to need to stop here in probably 2 or 3 laps' time. I'd be more surprised if it didn't. In towards turn 11, and yeah, the Haas is not able to actually find a move there. 4/10 separating Gunnar Addy and Race Chase as they make their way up the hill through turns 11, 12, and in towards turn 13. Once again, only the one retirement of the session. That's Fire Up Flow in the pit lane after having spun off the final corner quite early on, caused a virtual safety car for missing his front wing. Spun again not too long ago coming out of turn 4, and unfortunately, yeah, there's no way at this stage you're going to rebound from that. So A-Dub's going to get down to the inside of Sweet. Cali Rob is going to use that slingshot off of his teammate there. He's going to be a little bit too far behind to be able to make a dive at A-Dub into that first corner. For the time being, the Haas still looks good. It's a big slide from Cali Rob, but he's held it nicely. Into the first corner as well. Kate Thomas has gotten around Travis Scott. Gab appears to have gotten around Shariah Coleslaw on their way in. And up through turn 4 they go. The pair of the Ferraris following in behind A-Dub here. A-Dub on the softs. I will say, losing time to Lancey, but holding the two Ferraris at bay behind him. It's a very interesting spot to be in, as we do have Shariah Coleslaw getting around Gottney Weeb, exiting that fourth corner. Remember, Gottney Weeb had taken that spot. No, sorry, that was Gab, wasn't it? Yeah, that was Gab going through that corner. They'd gotten around Gab, going through turn 4. That position had swapped on the way into turn 1, and they've sorted that one back out. Exiting turn 13. Let's see if Lancey's in position here. Down the straight they go. 4/10 of a second and closing. Reimer's outside of DRS on race day by 3 seconds. Oh, by the way, it's worth pointing out here, race day has gotten that gap now down to almost within a second. That is going to be something to look out here for very shortly. What we'll look for is this, as A-Dub into the pit lane. Lancey is going to get around Reimer, and the two Ferraris will get back up to 5th and 6th. A-Dub into the pit lane. Let's see what he decides to do here. Will he go for the hard tires, try to stretch a one-stop as long as he can, or will he go to the mediums? No, he has gone to the hards, as I kind of expected. He will tumble down the order, but that will be at least his one required pit stop done. Gab has gotten back around Shariah Coleslaw, and now up to that 13th spot again. I'm very interested, though. Race day here. Are those medium tires falling off that fast to put race day back in the hunt for a position here? Because genuinely, Palmer nearly had a 3-second advantage not 4 laps ago, and now it's down to 1.2, and it's only going to get better for race day here. Again, I thought it was very bold for race day to want to take the start on the hard tires, knowing that a safety car was probably likely, and it hasn't even happened. So sometimes you can kind of get bailed out by that sort of thing, but yeah, I mean, realistically, he's gotten slightly unlucky. Well, no, he has gotten lucky that a safety car hasn't come out. I think had he started on the mediums, he would have been in a world of hurt, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing Palmer in for the time being, because Palmer has taken the risk on that, and Palmer into the pit lane, 11 laps in, and that's, I want to say, one of our first drivers of the day on the medium tires into the pit lane. Palmer in now will go to a set of hards, as more or less predicted. He will tumble down the order, most likely back to about 15th would be my guess, 14th, 15th. As into the first corner they go. Race chase, so he's going to try to switch it around Gunnar Addy here as they make their way through turns 2 and 3. And he's gotten a much better exit out of 2 and 3, and Race chase is going to have that one well before the braking zone into the corner. Nicely done there. Gunnar's going to try to strike back on the outside as much as he can. He's going to swap down to the inside now. Gunnar's giving him a good run for his money here. So we go back up to that battle for second. Rapid Reimer within 2/10 on Lancey here. Having a small look to the inside of turn 10. He's never going to try it through there. But DRS down the back straight now, heading in towards turn 11. Let's see what he does. I think for now it's important that these guys run consistent laps, because not only now are they battling each other, but you have to understand that race day is going to be stopping soon as well. I mean, that's going to realistically put Scott Palmer in another good position here. So these guys have to more or less, it's an interesting position really, because they have to live to fight another day. And if they waste their time right now battling back and forth, By the time they get to that pit window, Palmer's going to be right on their doorstep again, and then they're going to be the ones at the disadvantage. So, yeah, I think Reimer, I will say, is one of the more intelligent drivers I've seen. I think he knows that this is a risky game to play if he decides to battle with Lancey now. Of course, they've been having looks at each other a little bit here and there. It's a bit like when you buy a brand new cat, or you adopt a brand new cat, and your existing cat at home has to figure out that this is not an intruder, this is just part of your life now. I think that's kind of what Lancey and Reimer are kind of going through now. They know each other are there. They know that these guys are going to be battling for position come the end of the race, but is it worth battling now and losing the time? Meanwhile, as well, Gab back to Shariah Coleslaw for this 9th spot. These two have obviously shuffled up the order just a little bit, having not stopped yet. We'll say big up to Cake Thomas so far. Plus 10 on positions gained. That is fantastic for him. Speaking of Cake Thomas, he's actually under some pressure here from Travis Scott as they make their way heading towards turn 11. Palmer on the outside looking in. And for the time being, well, he doesn't have DRS to the 2 cars ahead of him. He's actually losing time to that pair. That's interesting. Stick with this battle for now as they make their way up through turn 12 and heading in towards turn 13 here. Well, I lied to you because Reimer and Lancey are going down the pit straight now. Let's see if Reimer decides to go for one here. And Reimer's used up saved up nearly the majority of his energy store. And he's going to get around Lancey rather easily then. But I think as far as these two are concerned, even if Lancey's losing that spot, that's probably best case scenario, to be losing it in the straight rather than through the corner and then losing time to everybody else. What I will say is this. Race Day is still putting time back to them as Travis Scott's going to get down to the inside of Cake Thomas and make that one happen in towards turn 1. Race Day is still putting time behind to the 2 cars, which I didn't actually expect, to tell you the truth. I would have expected by now Race Day would have kind of been hurt with no DRS. Even these 2 guys behind him, DRS off of each other will be worth something. But no, Race Day is putting on slightly a clinic here. So at the line this time, we will be halfway through this Bahrain Grand Prix. It's been a pretty interesting one so far, especially on the front of tire strategy. I will say it's been one of the more interesting races that I've seen in recent memory as far as that's concerned. And I tell you what, assuming the game is right and it is a 2-stop strategy, we are going to see another round of pit stops here. I kind of think the game is full of it at that point. I don't think that's going to be happening because we're halfway through. And what's even more is that now we know that these hard tires are going to last that long. Here we are, 14th beginning 15th lap of the Grand Prix. It has to be said, these hard tires are still holding on very strong. You want to look at a battle between a couple of guys on the hard tires, the medium tires. Let's look at Shariah Coleslaw and Gab here. These two have been battling it out for a long time. Gab, 13-lap-old medium tires. Shariah, 13-lap-old hards. As it turns out, these two have been pulling some very consistent laps and have been battling each other back and forth. Not one of them has an advantage on tire strategy. Gab's going to get it here with DRS as Travis Scott... Whoa! Well, that I didn't actually see. Palmer's going to get down the inside and get Cake Thomas, but before that had happened, Travis Scott was being taken by Cake around the outside. Palmer has gotten both of them there into turn 1. That was fantastic for Palmer. Shame I only just caught the end of it, but I knew enough to spell out what was happening. That was fantastic, and he's up to that 6th spot. As Shariah Coleslaw to the inside of Gab, maybe a little contact there, nothing worth complaining about, I don't believe. And once again, Gab, now this is exactly what I'm pointing to here. These guys are on different compounds of tire, same age, and they're very much still competitive. I think the hards are going to be are definitely going to be better, but Gab is doing okay, and I think that's got to be something to look for here. I'm just wondering when Race Day is going to make that decision to pit, because obviously, I think for his sake, he's going to want to take these hards as long as he can. From Race Day, who is the leader, back to Palmer's 19.3 seconds. That tells me Race Day is going to be out behind Palmer. Oh, that's a big slide. He's caught it very well. Let's be real there. But goodness me, that one was risky. Palmer now as well. Fastest lap of 1:31.409. 0.3 of a second. Lancey is not going to get close enough to Reimer to take it this time. Travis Scott, I think, kind of wanted to look at Cake Thomas there. Wasn't going to be able to have it. A-Dub to the inside of Gab is going to get the 10th spot. May go for 2. He is going to go for 2. Looking for Shariah Coleslaw, and no, I'm afraid not. He'll have to settle for the 1-point conversion there, I'm afraid. I do know A-Dub is a football player in college. At least I knew he was, so that's the basis behind that one. So past halfway now in this Grand Prix. Race Day does lead Reimer by 3.1. Now that gap was a lot bigger not too long ago, and I think what it was, is it just purely degradation of these two guys turning good laps behind them. Race Day also had that mistake going through the first corner this time by cost him probably about 0.5 of a second, you ask me. In towards turn 11, going up through 12 now. Travis Scott again, 0.2 behind. A-Dub, I think, wanted to have a look to the inside of their Shariah Coleslaw going through 11. Wasn't going to be able to have it. Could he now through 12? And no, he's taking a little bit too much time getting on the throttle. Lancey stays out. Reimer comes in. And onto the mediums here for Reimer. I think he's going to be comfortable here, taking those mediums the whole way. Travis Scott now 0.3 of a second behind Cake Thomas as well as A-Dub, trying to look for a move around Shariah Coleslaw. Palmer has gotten out ahead of Reimer here. Reimer's going to fall to the 6th, probably 8th position once these two get around him, and they do. Travis Scott looks to have actually gotten around Cake Thomas that time. Nicely done. A-Dub's going to get Shariah. Swee's going to look forward as well to the inside as Edwin now fastest lap, 1:31.049. As Swee is slid out of position there just a little bit. Probably a little bit of contact there with Shariah. Hasn't made the spot yet. DRS, though, activated. And he's going to have to use his energy store if he wants to get around the Sauber here, and he's not quite going to do it. Looks as if we do have Houdini and Gunner battling out for the first couple of corners here. Houdini the inside, side by side with Gunner past the Grosjean corner. And now, down the straight they go, heading through turn 4, and Houdini looks like he's going to stay ahead of this one, unless does Gunner switch it back to the inside, which it certainly seems as if he will. It's going to be a bit of a dive into turn 8 if that move is made here. Let's see. Yeah, not going to happen. Not now. So Race Day into the pit lane this time does now lead Lancey by 4 seconds, so he has put more time back to the Dutchman here. That may help him, as Lancey is going to get a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. Yikes, that is not what you wanted to see here in such a crucial part of the Grand Prix. As Race Day into the pit lane here, he's gone for the mediums as kind of expected. Where does Race Day come out here? He's going to be behind Palmer crucially. As the Aston Martin of Nicky64 is going to take the top spot, Palmer's going to be second. And yeah, Race Day is going to be behind Palmer here by a good bit. Into the corner we go. Not to mention, Reimer has come out in and amongst this battle here of Travis Scott and Cake Thomas. He's got to dispatch Travis Scott here relatively quickly, and he has. Next up the road is Cake Thomas. That has not helped Reimer at all, because he's come out in the middle of a two-car battle there. I will say, good enough for Reimer is that if he gets around Cake Thomas, Lancey now has a 10-second penalty and has to wait to find another opportunity to get around both Travis Scott and Cake Thomas, his teammate. He's not going to be wanting to get on bad terms with his teammate here. Lancey has not waited at all. He's gone for that move into turn 8, and he's made it happen. Into turn 10 now. Cake Thomas not quite there. A little bit of slippage going on throttle, and he is going to allow Lancey to go by here. Cake Thomas, a very veteran driver, knows when to play the team game, and that would be that situation then. 0.6 of a second for the lead here as Nicky64, those 17-lap-old hard tires, still holding on for now. I have a feeling he's going to pit here any second, but Palmer is probably going to be on his way to a good result here if he keeps with it. And Nicky has not come in. Race Day's 3.5 seconds down the road, and Palmer has gotten around Nicky64 easy enough, and Race Day is still again 4 seconds behind Palmer. Let's be real here. That decrease in the gap we were seeing between Palmer and Race Day, I think, had to be because of tire degradation. As Shariah Coleslaw is going to get a tenner for speeding. It had to be because of tire degradation, because Race Day is not improving. He is not, despite being on those medium tires, he is not getting any closer, realistically, to the 2 cars ahead of him. And this time by, he's going to have 10 laps to go. That is a very tough predicament here for race day. I mean, he's at the point now. Well, he has gained a little bit of time there. That to Nicky 64. Still probably a net 3.5. Back to Palmer, which would be about where he was at anyways. He's got to make up a second here to get around Nicky. Nicky, remember, has still yet to stop, so he'll be getting that position anyway. And once Nicky pits, I would say probably this time by, that'll put him 3.2 behind that of Palmer. So he's really not gained or lost anything that in the pit strategies here. He stayed exactly where he was to begin with. But I will say again, Palmer is turning some very clean laps, and he's I tell you what, becoming masterclass territory here. He does not have the fastest lap. He's about 0.4 shy. Back to GSR Edwin. Matter of fact, well, that's not lasted at all, has it? Race day 1:36.36. Now has the fastest lap by a lot as well. 4.5 of a second there. So, hey, I'm allowed to be wrong sometimes. Cake Thomas and Travis Scott into the pit lane here, the two of them. Once again now, just looking for Nicky 64. He's the final driver on the grid to have yet to stop. Lancey has a 10-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. Shariah's got a 10er as well. As side by side, we see Cali Rob and A-Dub now going through the Grosjean corner. And around the outside is going to be Cali Rob with DRS. And oh, by the way, Sui has DRS as well. Double dosage of damage with DRS for the Ferrari duo. And A-Dub, well, he's actually, I was going to think he was going to hold on there. He's kept them honest there, Sui. But the Ferraris have gotten around him. Oh, and Race Day's made that dive through 10. Yes, he has. Nicky's either made an error or Race Day has really taken him there through turn 10 and now finds himself in second place, approximately 2 seconds behind, back to that of Palmer. Well, I tell you what, that's got to be a good place for Race Day to be. The only thing is that he's got to catch up to him sooner rather than later, because we get to the line now, we're within 10 laps to go. Still a 1.5 seconds back, that's fine. But the best days for those tires, those mediums that he's on, are right now. 1:35.93, once again setting the fastest lap. That's a good look for Race Day. He is setting good times, but Palmer is right there dead even with him anyway. Nicky into the pit lane now, will go to the soft tire. And here I was thinking we were going to be on for the 2-stop. That game, man, EA Sports, those bastards lied to me. Lancey's going to get down to the inside of Reimer here. Side by side they go, and Lancey, well, I will say good on him for battling here. He's really not going to lose that many positions. He may only fall to about 6th. There's actually a pretty good still result for him here, unless does he believe he can get that 10er taken off. It is very rarely that you can get a pit lane speed limit penalty taken off. It does happen. I have seen it happen. But usually, with as much crap as I talk about EA in this game, they usually get that one right. Really the only one, but they do. More importantly now, Race Day has gotten this gap from Palmer to himself within a second, the magical 1 second window, and now, it has to be said, Race Day has to make a move, once again, sooner rather than later. We're getting to the business end of the Grand Prix now. Those tires are still 3 laps old, let's be real. But still, those medium tires are wearing away by the second, by the lap. And Palmer is going to have that advantage towards the back end of the race here. Race Day 0.5 second away. He's used up a lot of energy store as well. It's about 30% is Lancey. 1:35.91. He's going to be our new fastest lap setter here. And oh, by the way, 2 thou better than Race Day. That's about as close as it gets. 50% battery here for Race Day. He's not using it. Palmer ahead, down to about 17. So Palmer seems to be using his defensively, at least for the time being. A-Dub to the inside of Sui. And, well, he's not quite going to get there yet. And, oh, wait. Tough to tell. Those first couple of corners are so hard. You take them differently almost every time you go through them, and not even really by choice. It really is where you angle that car in on the way, and I'm afraid realistically for for Sui there. That was going to be a losing battle. He was going to the outside through the first corner. He had to go cut the inside of turn 2 and then push out wide through 3 and not exceed track limits. He's had to slow down, and that's why A-Dub was able to get him. But the battle for the lead, half a second. It's very interesting to see this because realistically, I came into this race saying that race day was going to be the favorite to win. Ask me that 10 laps into the Grand Prix, I would have figured second place at best. But now, I think he's got a legitimate chance to get around Palmer here. Got 7 laps to go at the line this time by. Let's see if race day can get him. With DRS, with energy stories, up to 80%. Palmer down to 30. Race day's going for it. He's a little bit too far behind. Oh, maybe not. Palmer has decided to defend the inside, and race day's right there, and he's trying to stay on the left as they go through 2 and go through 3. Race day with DRS as well, and the energy being deployed. Race day, new leader. And wow, you didn't expect that one at all, did you? Because Palmer has had a stranglehold on this grid today. And that really surprises me. Even if race day's on the better tire, on the medium compared to the hards, the tires have been degrading rather quickly at least. You'd think that Palmer was going to be able to hold on, and I think he probably still will have a chance here when we get to the last 5 laps. It's going to be really close, and I tell you what, race day's got to put together a good gap now, which he has done. 7.5 tenths of a second already. He's only just gotten around him. Looking a little bit further behind, can Edwin find a move at A-Dub here? Sui has since gotten that spot back from the Haas, as they're going up through turn 11 and in towards turn 12. The time being still a little bit spread out. Cake Thomas may have a look at Travis Scott here into turn 11 now. Not now, but that one's going to be something to watch when we get down to the pit straight, which, speaking of the pit straight, race day does now have, that was nearly a 9/10 of a second advantage over Palmer. Palmer, and I hate to say this, is on the ropes here. Oh, big slide coming out of turn 1. He's still going to get DRS. That's helpful. Well, that car nearly went haywire there as Reimer. Will he have a look at Lancey here? No, he's going to have to back off, really. He's not going to be able to have a look there. A couple of cars within a couple of tenths here. Sui leads this queue of Edwin and A-Dub here, making their way out of the Grosjean corner and down towards turn 4. Let's see, Edwin's going to absolutely have a send here. He'll look for the inside, and it looks as if the Aston Martin's going to get that one, but Sui's going to battle back nicely on the outside. A-Dub's following in behind and hoping for a mistake, and the Aston Martin's going to get ahead. They did as well have Gunnar and Gab battling it out behind. It appears that has sorted itself out at least immediately, as Gab has that 15th position. And by the way, once again, be sure to join us next time out when we head to the Silverstone circuit for round number 2, and then round 3, Jeddah Cornish circuit in Saudi Arabia. After that should be a banger couple of races here. So 5 laps to go. Race day has a 1.5-second advantage over Gut Palmer. That is best case scenario for race day. And now Reimer to the inside, and he's gotten around Lancey quite nicely here. Lancey, again, has that 10-second penalty. He will only fall to 5th with that penalty. So that's huge for Lancey, because that's still a very good points haul from him, despite that penalty. Sui to the inside, he's going to get round Edwin, and he's going to take that spot. Very late on the brakes, that car nearly went round, and maybe some contact there. Edwin's going to get round the outside and up to 6th, as Travis Scott and Cake Thomas once again. Travis Scott's actually going to get around Cake Thomas that time. You know, I just noticed Travis Scott, his name is Travis Scotts. Am I dyslexic or just ignorant? Travis Scotts? Travis Scotts? Wow. I think I've genuinely broadcasted a Travis Scott race for probably 4 or 5 seasons now, and I've only just figured out that his name is not Travis Scott. Travis Scott's. Travis Scott's. Damn it, man. Anyways. Down the pit straight they go. Only a handful of laps remaining, and well, Race Day has got a 2-second advantage over Palmer. Let me tell you something. I would have been surprised if you had told me 10 laps ago, 15 laps ago, that Race Day was actually going to be remotely close to getting the Palmer here. I would have thought you were slightly crazy, because Palmer was so strong in the early stages of this race. I don't know. Is that just what that risk was, going from medium to hard? Was hard medium the better strategy? It certainly appears so, because Palmer was turning good laps. There's nothing to say he wasn't. I think, yeah, maybe that hard to medium was just a better strategy. So we within 0.4 of a second of Edwin here. At the line this time will be 3 laps to go here in the opening round of season number 14. As Cake Thomas is going to get around Travis Scott this time as well. Not going through turn 4, he's back up to 12th. Six-tenths of a second the gap between these three as they make their way down the backstretch heading towards turn 11. More importantly as well, Lancey about... I tell you what, let's not ignore this. Just for gits and shiggles. Cali Robb is 9 seconds behind Lancey. Lancey could very well hang within the DRS of Reimer here and get that 10-second penalty totally negated. As we have a yellow flag. Something has happened there. That's with Gunnar. I think potentially just getting out of the way or maybe having a slight spin there. Yeah, I think it must have been the second option. But Lancey could very well hang within DRS range of Reimer here. Take the DRS, use the battery, get close to overtaking Reimer, not actually do it, and then keep 4th place. Because he's put another 2/10 back to Cali Robb here. I don't know if Cali's struggling or Lancey and Reimer are turning that good laps. I don't know. That's a very tough question to ask. There's a very legit possibility here that Lancey leaves with 4th place despite a 10-second penalty. Slightly slowly, it seems, going through those first couple of corners. Travis Scott does go and stay ahead of Cake Thomas, at least for the time being. Making their way in towards turn 8. The Swede... he's not going to have a look at Edwin. Not quite yet. On the back straight, heading in towards turn 11. What I will say is this. Palmer is now slowly but surely... slowly but surely... well, I was going to say shaving time off of that deficit. He was down to about 1.8. Up through turn 13. It seems to have lost it back again. By the way, Lancey now, with 2 laps to go, Lancey is approximately 4/10, 3/10 still in the red. He needs to find that. Oh, he's going to go for Reimer here, and he will. And he's going to get the Red Bull. He saved up a lot of his battery there. He's at 50%. Reimer 33, so I mean, not crazy. As Nicky's going to get round A-dub here, I think. Yes, he will. He's going to get round A-dub before DRS is activated, and that Aston Martin's going to pull away. So incredibly enough, Lancey is in position right now to keep 4th place after that 10-second penalty. And by the way, let's not forget this. I mean, there is a very remote possibility that he does get that 10-second penalty taken off. Whether he does or doesn't is whether or not he has a legit case. It probably won't. I mean, there's just very little opportunities to have a legit case to overturn a safety car, or not a safety car, a pit lane speed limiter like that. So, the line this time will be the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix race day. Realistically, and I don't know, the strategy has absolutely worked for him here. I did not expect that was going to be the case. I really thought Palmer was going to be the one to beat here. It absolutely looked like he was for the longest time. But now, to the line on the final lap, race day, 2.2 seconds the gap over Palmer. And unless race day makes a mistake here, I don't think he's giving that one up. Rapid Rhymer to the inside, and he's going to take that one over Lancey back to the third spot. Good news, though, for Lancey, he does have 9.9 back to Cali Rob. This is, 9.8. And Cali Rob does not have DRS to anybody here, and he's on the medium tires as well. Will Lancey on the mediums as well? I was going to say, will he be more prone to mistake? That just won't happen. I don't think Swee's not going to be able to have a look at Edwin here immediately. Race Chase is absolutely going to go for Gutney Weeb here, and it does get him well before the first corner. Race Day going in through 9 and 10 now for the final time, as Swee is not going to be close enough to look at Edwin here, I'm afraid. But the story is, once again, as Race Day making his way through turns 11 and 12 and eventually 13 after that. Let's not forget, Division 1 champion last season now has himself in a position, as he is one of only, 3 multi-time champions here in Division 1. Now puts himself in a situation, just for gits and shiggles, has won 4 out of the last 5 Division 1 races. And oh, by the way, what a way to start the season. Race Day 2016, who I still think is the favorite to win the championship this year, starts the season off with a bang and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Palmer, great effort from him. I'm afraid, potentially on strategy-wise, comes up a little bit short. And speaking of short, I think Lancey is going to be about 2/10 shy of keeping that 4th spot at the line. It is. Cali Rob gets it. Only just 3/4 of a tenth is the gap there. Cali Rob 4th. Lancey 5th, Edwin 6th, Swee 7th, Nicky 64 8th. Not too bad of a day from the Aston Martins. 9th, A-Dub, 10th, Race Chase, and 11th, Gotney Weeb. Oh, but maybe a good battle here. Oh, at the line! Travis Scott's going to get Cake Thomas by 4 1,000ths of a second. Okay, well, I'm glad I got to see that. Great finish that was. 4 1,000ths of a second at the line. That's madness. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, Race Day, your winner today. And be sure to join us next time out when we head to the Silverstone circuit for the second round of this 14th season. Hotspot, it has been a pleasure joining you in Division 1 this time. And I'll see you next week.